Hi, welcome back to the Megalamukois. Here to talk to you today about a very special biblical character, big tzaddik with a little name. You might be thinking, Noach, he was a big tzaddik and had a small two-letter name. But I'm here to talk to you today about a guy named Yaktan. He's a not so well-known character, but I hold he's a biblical hero in the end of Parshas Noach, and I think he has a really important lesson to teach us. So I want to share that with you today. So let's dig right in. So the story of the Mabul, everybody knows. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Maybe not as well known as that the water came not only down from the heavens in the form of rain, but it also came up from the depths. I tried to capture that in this picture, which is really a picture from the Arabah in Israel. So let me share with you a pasuk. Vishnat sheish ois shana b'chay noyach b'chodesh hasheni b'shiv asar yoim lechodesh b'yoim hazeh nivku kol mayanot tehom rabbah. In the 600th year of the life of Noach, in the second month, on the 17th day of that month, on this very day. So the Mayanot Tehom Rabbah, the great windows of the abyss, opened up to really flood the world, as well as Arubot HaShamayim, the windows to the heavens, all opened up and brought, of course, the flood. So Rashi comments on this word, Rabbah, Tehom Rabbah, the great depths. And Rashi says, Tehom Rabbah, Mida Keneged Mida, Hem Chatu B'Rabbah, Ra'at Ha'adam V'Laku B'Tehom Rabbah. So Rashi cites a pasuk in the end of Parshas Bereshit that mankind had sinned greatly. Rabbah, I'm going to translate as greatly. And the evil of man, Rabbah Ra'at Hadam, the evil of man is great. And therefore, the springs of the well springs of the earth, okay, Mayanot Tehom Rabbah, the great well springs of the earth opened up to flood them. And Rashi says it's Mida Keneged Mida, that means it's measure for measure, Chatu B'Rabbah, V'Laku B'Rabbah. It's from Chazal that they sinned in this characteristic called Rabbah, and therefore they were punished with the same characteristic called Rabbah. And so we need to understand what is Rabbah, this greatness. And in a word, I'll already introduce it, I might call it self-aggrandizement, making yourself so great and thinking you're so great and trying to make yourself as big and great. I mean, it's good to aspire to big things, but we're going to talk here about the pitfall of trying to make yourself great when maybe you're really not so great, or you're really selfish and sort of ugly. That's what happened, of course. There were 10 generations of wicked people leading up to the generation of Noach when it was all destroyed. And the same thing really happened until Abraham, the next 10 generations. They still didn't get it right. Everybody was trying to take more for themselves and be great unto themselves, but not be humble, to walk with God, to try and give instead of trying to take. So let's go on. So I have here a picture of Yaktan's family. Not really, this is a family from Grand Rapids, Michigan, but they really have 14 sons. So the blessings of a large family, Baruch Hashem. I also have a large family with 9 children, Kanai Nahara. And so listen to how the Torah describes the big family of Yaktan. Shem Achiv Yaktan. He's a descendant of Shem. Let's call him a grandson of Noach, a great-grandson. Yaktan Yalad es Almodad, ve'es Sholef, ve'es Chatzer Maves, ve'es Yorach, ve'es Hadoiram, ve'es Uzal, ve'es Dikla, ve'es Oival, ve'es Avimoel, ve'es Shva, ve'es Oifir, ve'es Chavila, ve'es Yovav. So it sounds like Yaktan had 13 sons. And the Torah says then, Kol Eile B'nei Yaktan. So by adding that word Kol Eila, the Torah could have just summed up and said, these are the sons of Yaktan. Like it tells us the families of these progenitors of the 70 nations. It tells us lists of names and who begot whom. But here it says, Kol Eile B'nei Yaktan, as if to say, wow, this guy had a real lot of kids, which he did. So why was he zoiche? Why did he merit to have such a big, wonderful family of strapping young men and men who really became leaders and important people? And the answer is in his name, Yaktan. Okay, And of course, you know, the Hebrew word katan is small. Okay. I grew up hearing stories about tantan, like tam thumb. Tantan is like a midget or smaller. I don't know. Anyway, Yaktan is a great man, and he merits to do and found this great family because he is self-effacing. He makes himself small as opposed to making himself great and super large. So let's talk about that. Do we want to make ourselves great or small? Okay. So I have here a picture of a giant and a midget from the circus of P.T. Barnum. But we're looking at these two words, the word rabbah, that they sinned in rabbah and they suffered punishment in the midah of rabbah. And Yoktan, he was Zoicha, he merited reward of a giant family for his katnut, okay, for being miniature. So let me explain. If we analyze the word rabbah, we see it's Rav Hey, okay? Reish base Rav, okay, great, huge. And the ois Hey, the letter Hey, which is of course one of the letters of God's name. It says that Hashem created the world, the Yud K, with the letters Yud and the letter Hey. And the other, besides the Hey, is the Yud. So look at Yoktan, and we could analyze, break up that word into Yud Katan. So we have the great Hey and the little Yud, okay? And if we think about the interplay between the letters Yud and Hey in the divine name of Yud K, through which Hashem created this world and the next, the Yud is the giver. The Yud is like invisible, it's tiny, it's microscopic. It's like the seed of life from which everything comes, and it's all giving. It has no pockets. It can't take anything for itself. It's all giving, okay? The Hey is a receptacle. It's receiving the shefa from the Yud. We could actually look at the Hey itself as being composed of a little Yud, and then the Dalid, which is representative of the four directions of the compass, accepting, again, shefa and influx from the point of origin, which the Yud, again, it's symbolic of a point. So the Yud is symbolic of a central point from which everything else comes out. So the Yud is tiny, it occupies no space, and the Hey is the receptacle for accepting all that goodness and then expressing it. So they're both important. They're both parts of the divine name. But here we're looking at sort of a perversion of the Hey when it becomes Rav Hey, Rabbah. And the way I understand that is that in the first 2,000 years of the Bria, of creation, the Torah had not been given. So mankind was trying to be great and be rich and powerful, you know, starting with Cain that killed his brother, and then people stealing and killing in order to get ahead. So that's called Rav Hey. They were sinning greatly because they're trying to make themselves great at the expense of the other guy, okay, which leads to really all the Averas, all the Bein Adam Lechavero for sure. And even Bein Adam Lamakom, they are full of themselves. Okay, so they're arrogant and, as I said, self-aggrandizing. Whereas Yaktan, the Yud Katan, this is someone who's in touch with the origin, with his spiritual source, with the world of spirituality, which is invisible. It's not great and gigantic. It's, in a sense, minuscule, microscopic, and invisible. And yet, by connecting himself to his source, which is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that he's zoicha to this great bracha. He ends up having a giant family and having progeny that will fill the earth. So we can take home, of course, an ethical lesson about what does it mean to be a great person, a tzaddik, okay? It's not always to get a lot of attention and to be Rav Hey, the big man on campus. That's nice sometimes if you're doing good things to get credit for them, but that's really not the point. The point is to connect with the Yud, with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in a quiet way, in a small way. The Jewish people are called Hama'at Sheba'amim, because they're Mimatim es Atzmam. We make ourselves small. We're not self-aggrandizing, we're self-effacing, but we are focused on doing the right thing, even when nobody's looking, just because it's the right thing. That was Yaktan, and that is how to make the Yud Katan into something great, to be close to God. And I thank you for joining me today. I wish everybody a great Shabbos. Looking forward to seeing you again next time. Kol Tuv.